In today's video, I will show you how I solve the Uvalde, FactorSpace, and Comet machines from HackMyVM. As I mentioned in the previous video, I'm learning the pivoting technique to compromise multiple machines within the same network. To achieve this, I created an internal network using VirtualBox and set up 3 machines this time. Uvalde and FactorSpace machines are connected to each other, and FactorSpace is connected to the Comet machine, all through an internal network interface. I only have access to the Uvalde machine, so from my attacker machine I can't directly see or access the other 2 machines. Therefore, my mission is to gain access and scaled privilege on the Uvalde machine to later gain access and exploit the other 2 machines. My plan is to make these labs more challenging, but due to the limited capacity of my computer, I can only run 3 machines simultaneously. If I add more, my computer will overload. Therefore, I will be using machines of medium and high difficulty, and I'll start using Windows machines to learn about Active Directory. I hope you enjoyed this video series and we can learn a lot together. Now let's get started. As always, I begin with the reconnaissance of ports, service and versions using Nmap. I used the following options: P to scan all ports, Open to see only open ports and not close or filtered ones, min rate 5000 to send at least 5000 packets per second to the target, N to disable reverse DNS lookup, PN to assume the host is alive, V for verbose output. For service and version reconnaissance, I used the following parameters: SC to enable default script execution for vulnerabilities detection and additional information during the scan, SV to enable version detection of service on open ports. Nmap found 3 ports: FTP, SSH, and HTTP. Before checking the website, I focused on the FTP service, as Nmap indicated that I could log in as anonymous. I found something that looked like a log of commands used by the user Matthew, so I now had a username and used Hydra to perform a brute force attack, taking advantage of this information. While Hydra was doing its job, I checked the website and started looking for directories and files using GoBuster. GoBuster found several files, but one that caught my attention was createaccount.php. I visited the page and created an account. Upon testing with the username test or test2 or whatever, I noticed a string in the URL that seemed to be in base64 encoding. I decoded and it gave me the newly created username and password. I created another user just to see if the password format changed, and it only differed in the last 4 digits. I also tried to check if the user Matthew that I found early was registered on the website, and indeed that user exists. With the password format known, I generated a word list and performed a brute force attack to obtain Matthew's password. Upon logging into the website, I noticed that the page is under construction. So I tried the same password to access the system and successfully log in. The privilege escalation was quite simple. When I ran sudo l, I saw that I could execute the script named superhack has root, located in the opt directory. In this directory, I have the necessary permissions to remove the superhack script and create my own file with the same name. By doing this, when I run the script with sudo, it executes whatever I tell it to do. So, by replacing the superhack script with my own, I can make it run a bash has root. However, the adventure doesn't end here. We have the machine's FactorSpace and Comet on another interface to which I don't have access. Running the command hostname I discovered that there was another active network interface. So I used a small script to discover which hosts are active on the machine. The script found an active host, which should be the FactorSpace machine. I then performed a quick port scan. I tried port 80 and 22, and they seemed to be active on that host. So I used the chisel tool to communicate it from my machine through the Uvalde machine and to the FactorSpace machine. On my machine, I act as a server on port 1234, while on the Uvalde machine, I act as a client and connected to my IP on port 1234, using SOCKS as remote port forwarding. To make SOCKS work correctly, I had to edit the proxy change file and create a SOCKS file connection to localhost on port 1080, where the connection made by Chisel listens. With the help of proxy chains, we can now connect to the FactorSpace machine and attempt to exploit it. I performed a port scan using Nmap. I use Nmap with the following options: ST to allow only normal TCP connections with the proxy, specifying a TCP scan with these parameters. PN to assume the host is alive. Feel free to use your preferred options for the rest. Nmap only found port 80 and 22 open. After reviewing the website, I didn't find anything interesting, so I began enumerating possible directories and files on the server using GoBust with the proxy SOCKS 5 parameters to pass through the previously created proxy connection. GoBuster found some interesting PHP files, including a login and an authentication file. The website features an authentication panel with a validation captcha. The captcha code is generated through the auth file. Upon analyzing the website, I noticed that reloading the auth page generates a new captcha, so I created a small bash script to brute force the login panel. After logging into the web application, it took me to a name search application. You enter a last name, and the search engine returns the corresponding first name if a user with that last name exists in the system. After trying various types of injections, I discovered it was an XPath injection. However, I struggled to fully understand how this type of injection works, and had to watch a few videos to resolve this part. Once I gained access to the system with one of the users, the goal was to escalate privilege. I used the command sslntu to display network connections and noticed a UDP connection on port 5555. I used T# to capture UDP network traffic on the machine's network interface, filtering only packets with the machine's IP address as the source or destination. I found an SSH private key, and since the only existing user on the system is Jackie, I assume the private key belongs to the root user. Therefore, I log in via SSH as root and gain access to this machine, completing the FactorSpace task. I execute the command hostname I and discover another network interface, indicating one last machine to resolve, Comet. So I used the host reconnaissance script again to find the vulnerable IP to attack. Establish a connection with the Comet machine from my attacker machine, I use SSL on the FactorSpace machine, which already has a connection with the Uvalde machine, and then redirect all traffic to my attacker machine using socket. I used SSL as a client on the FactorSpace machine, connecting to the Uvalde machine's IP on an available port, as port 1080 was already in use by another chisel connection. At first, this won't work, so I used socket to redirect any incoming connection on port 4444 to my attacker machine on port 1234. Where I'm listening with SSL. Then I add port 8888 to the proxy change file to complete the configuration for my connection to the last machine. I scanned the ports with Nmap, and there were only two open ports, the typical HTTP and SSH ports. I checked the website but didn't find anything interesting, so I used GoBuster to discover files and directories. GoBuster found several files, but two caught my attention: login PHP and IPTXT. Since the server blocks me for a few minutes if I attempt to log in with incorrect credential twice, I searched for bypassing methods and techniques and used a small bash script for brute forcing login credentials. After successfully logging, I found several logs and a binary file. I downloaded the files to my machine to examine their content. I discovered a username in the files and analyzed the binary. It turned out to have a SHA-256 hash, which the binary used for verification. I cracked the hash and used it as the password to execute the binary. With the cracked password and the username, I connected via SSH. Upon checking the user directory, I found a bash script that compared the content and MD5 checksum of two files, named File1 and File2. If both files start with HMV, have the same MD5 checksum, and meet certain conditions, the script grants suite permissions to bash. Given the script name, it seems to be related to hash collisions. I used the hash class tool by Mark Stevens to create the two files, which allow me to gain root access via bash, concluding the Comet machine and pivoting between three machines. I still have much to learn and practice, especially mastering the handling of network connections between machines and moving around through their connections, using tools like Giselle and SOC, among others. To achieve this, I will be creating more pivoting videos to force myself to practice more. If you enjoyed the video, please remember to like, subscribe, and leave a comment. Until next time.